Hey everybody, welcome to Crack Pack Tuesday number 89, the final pack of Kaladesh. It's probably going to be just as bad. We're not going to open an invention, because I'm never going to open a masterpiece ever. But this is our final pack of Kaladesh. Next Tuesday is going to be set review for Aether Revolt. The Tuesday after that, we will have a pack of Aether Revolt sitting right here, 2 weeks away. But we're going to open this, see what's in it, and see what we would take. Pack one, pick one, if this was a Kaladesh draft, which we're never doing ever again. Up first, we have ourselves a Thriving Grubs. 1 in a red for a creature gremlin. It's a 2/1. Gets 2 energy when you enter play, and when it attacks, you can pay 2 energy to give it a +1/+1 counter. Thriving Grubs are probably my favorite non-rhino thriving creature, and the one that I would always play. The rest, the goat, the turtle, the rats, I would rarely, if ever, play, in the case of the rats especially, but never really a first pick. Up next, we have another 2-drop Eddy Trail Hawk, 1 in a white for a creature bird. It's a 1/2, it's got flying. You get 2 energy when it comes into play, and when it attacks, you can pay 1 energy to have another creature come fly with it. It's fine. I'll usually play it in a white deck. It gets things through. Making a train fly is pretty darn good, but it's never a first pickable card. Up next, we have Vedalken Blademaster, 2 in a blue for a creature Vedalken Soldier. It's 2/3, it's got prowess, and that's about it. It's a fine card. It's not great. It's definitely not the Ingenious Scab, which, of course, everybody said it would be just like. I originally gave this a relatively lowish score, and then I said, oh, wait, Ingenious Scab. You know, people are probably going to yell at me that I missed that. And so I think I upped the grade a little bit, but it's actually just not very good. Never a first pick, and sometimes just doesn't make the cut in blue. Next up is another Gremlin, Ruinous Gremlin, a single red mana for a creature gremlin. It's a 1/1. You can pay 2 in a red and sack it to destroy an artifact. Yep, there's a lot of artifacts in this set. It's an artifact set, Artifact Matters set, but this is not a main deckable card. As I've said on Spiky Saturdays pretty frequently, I think the only main deckable in draft Artifact Hate is Appetite for the Unnatural. I think in Sealed, you could regularly main deck a Fragmentize, but Ruinous Gremlin should usually just sit in your sideboard. Up next is Sage of Shayla's Claim, 1 in a green for a creature elf druid. It's a 2/1, and when it enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. This is pretty decent in the big energy green-red deck or green-blue deck. Outside of that, you probably don't want to play this, and you never first pick it. You can get this on the wheel. You can sometimes even get this like last pick. Up next is Live Fast, 2 in a black for a sorcery. You draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life, and you get 2 energy. If this was instant, it would probably be decent and playable a lot of the time. At sorcery speed, it just isn't that playable. If you really need a 3-drop, you can play it, but it's not what you should be wanting to do. Certainly never a first pick, often not even main deck. Up next is Tezzeret's Ambition, 3 blue for a sorcery. Draw 3 cards if you control no artifacts, which you probably will not control. No, that's a lot of double negatives. You'll probably have artifacts if you're playing blue. Let's go with that. So this is draw 3 for 5 mana, which is pricey at sorcery speed. This is not Jace's Ingenuity or Opportunity or anything like that, but it's still fine. But nowhere near a first pick, and not even main deckable all the time, but sometimes. Well, this pack just gets better and better. Metal Spinner's Puzzle Knot, 2 generic mana for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you lose a life and draw a card. Pay 2 in a black to do it again. I'm not a big fan of Metal Spinner's Puzzle Knot. I don't mind Glass Blowers, I don't mind Cog Workers in the right deck, and I don't mind Woodweavers in the right deck. But Metal Spinner, I just don't think there's ever really a right deck for it. There's just so many better artifacts, and yeah, Black-White is the Artifacts Matters deck, and it's really, really, really good, but there's just so many better choices than Metal Spinner's Puzzle Knot, so definitely not a first pick, and not even main deckable most of the time. Up next is Pima Outrider, a first pickable card. 2 green for a creature elf warrior. It's a 3/3. It's got trample, and it's got Fabricate 1. So it can be a 4/4 trample, or it can be a 3/3 trample with a 1/1 buddy. I like Pima Outrider. Frequently the right choice is to put a counter on it, but there's also just as many points where you want to make the servo. I like it. It's first pickable in some packs of Kaladesh, because as we've seen, there are some terrible ones, like this one. So Pima Outrider, you can hang out in frame for the time being. Our final and 10th common, meaning there is no foil, there is no invention, is Narnom Cobra. 2 generic mana for an artifact creature snake. It's a 2/1. You can pay a green to give it death touch until end of turn. This is one of the pretty solid artifact creatures. Actually, all of the artifact creatures are decent. All of them are relatively totally fine, if not always main deckable. And I think the green one is great. It acts as just one heck of a blocker in the late game, just holding off every single bomb that your opponent has unless it flies. I would never really want to first pick it, though. It's just not that powerful. Let's be optimistic and say we don't have to keep it in frame, because we would not first pick this outside of the worst pack in history, which, with a Pima Outrider and an Oval Chase Daredevil, this isn't the worst pack in history. Oval Chase Daredevil is our first uncommon, 3 and a black for a creature human pilot. It's a 4/2, and when an artifact enters the battlefield, you can return Oval Chase Daredevil from your graveyard to your hand. Oval Chase Daredevil is totally fine. 4/2 for 4 is not my favorite stats. It dies to a lot of things, and a lot of things that are cheaper than it, and that's not how you want to play Magic. You don't want to trade down. However, the fact that she comes back to your hand when you get an artifact, and in black, you're going to be getting fabricated artifacts. You're going to naturally be playing artifacts, etc. She will come back to your hand. I think she is totally fine. I think she's going to be in the discussion for first pick. I generally would prefer not to first pick her, but she'll stay in the discussion for now. Up next, we have a Whirler Maker. I know a lot of people will like Whirler Maker. I do not. It's a 3 generic mana artifact. Pay 4 generic mana, tap it to make a 1/1 colorless Thopter creature token with flying. That's so much mana. 7 mana to get your first 1/1. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, especially in Kaladesh, which I consider to be a relatively fast format. Yes, there are dirtily things. Yes, 2 weeks in a row I have played really late game mill decks in Kaladesh, but Kaladesh is kept in check by aggro, and Whirler Maker is too slow for me. I do not like it. I would never pick it or play it, let alone first pick it. And even for those who do like it, I don't think it's a first pickable card. Our final uncommon of Kaladesh Crack Packs is Quicksmith Genius, 2 and a red, for a creature human artificer. It's a 3/2, and whenever an artifact enters the battlefield, you can rummage. So you can discard a card and then draw a card. I like Quicksmith Genius. I would consider it a first pickable card. I play it frequently in red decks. It's just solid. You're going to have artifacts. You can build to a little bit more artifact-heavy deck, especially adding this guy in with Reckless Fireweavers. Maybe do a black-red deck with an Oval Chase Daredevil. Lots of good stuff there. I consider Quicksmith Genius a first pickable card for sure. Our final rare of Kaladesh is pretty typical of Kaladesh rares. There are some bad ones out there, and this is Lost Legacy. 1 black for a sorcery. I'm going to have to read it. Name a non-artifact, non-land card. Search target player's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with that name and exile them. That player shuffles his or her library, then draws a card for each card exiled from hand this way. As a note, the only time I've had somebody play this against me on Magic Online, I didn't get to draw the cards. I have no idea why. They exiled a card. I did not get to draw a card for it. It was bugged. Don't play this card. It's really, really, really bad. These types of cards, Slaughter Games, Cranial Extraction, etc., are never playable in Draft. And this is the worst one ever made. It's sorcery speed. It replaces the cards. It is terrible. It is not main deckable. It is not even really sideboardable. Yeah, if you see them have a Chandra, you can side this in and maybe, if you're lucky, get their Chandra if they don't play it before you find and play your Lost Legacy. But if they do, you have a dead garbage card in your hand, in your library, etc. It's just really, really bad. It really does next to nothing. In fact, it just helps your opponent out. Do not play Lost Legacy. It is very, very, very bad. So we're looking at Quicksmith Genius, Oval Chase Daredevil, and Pima Outrider. I think this is a really kind of tough decision. I think it kind of goes towards what deck you want, what colors you lean towards, etc. I'm slightly leaning towards Quicksmith Genius because I do really like red in Kaladesh. I can definitely see Pima Outrider's strength because, of course, green is really good. And I can see Oval Chase Daredevil because I think it's also pretty solid. I think I'd probably cut the Oval Chase Daredevil first. It dies just so frequently. Yes, it comes back, but it dies really, really easily. So I think I'm looking at Quicksmith Genius and Pima Outrider. And just because of my slight preference to red, which is arguably just because green is so overdrafted a lot of the times, I think I am going to take the Quicksmith Genius, but I can really see the Outrider or the Daredevil being the pick. Let me know what your pick would have been in the comments down below. In the poll in the top right-hand corner, would it have been the Genius, the Outrider, the Daredevil? Do you like Lost Legacy? And if so, why? But let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at The Mana League. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can find me at Facebook.com/The Mana League, Twitch.tv/The Mana League, and Patreon.com/The Mana League if you want to become a patron there and see the rewards that you can get, including this playmat. If you donate $60 over the lifetime of your patronage, if that takes you 1 month, thank you for donating $60, or if that takes you 60 months at $1 a month, whenever you hit $60, you get this playmat. But as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Click that like button, click that subscribe button. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time.